What if I told you that my community predicted the exact problems with OpenAI months before the mainstream media caught on? So one viewer literally called OpenAI a ticking time bomb that needs to start making money now, and it just isn't. End quote. Now, here's the question that should terrify every AI investor. If the people who actually work with AI daily are saying it's fundamentally broken, why only the CEOs who have bet billions on it are the only ones still hyping it up? Now, should we believe them? So because my community just delivers some of the most accurate analysis of AI industry problems, and this is really fun because everything I'm going to do from this video is from you guys. So I appreciate your guys' comments. They're awesome. I'm having tons of fun with this. And I think you guys are going to love some of these comments because I want to go through some of my favorites and even some of my least favorites that I may disagree with, but that I want to go over with you guys today because I enjoy answering every one of these personally. But some of these are super insightful, some are super funny, and I've had a great time with it. So today I'm going to share their predictions that are already coming true and why they saw the crash coming before anyone else. Let's dive in. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Hack, we train software developers and build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right, so my viewers have been dropping some absolute truth bombs, and I love these. So about AI and about reality and about where we're at right now. Now, they called the problems, they predicted timelines, and they've also explained exactly why the current AI models are unsustainable. So let's go dive into some of them. This one's one of my favorite ones, right? So one Vietnam veteran who just decades of experience nailed the pattern. He says, every age has its booms and busts, and it's valuable to see the vulnerabilities of the present boom and doom hysteria. This time may not be different. He goes on to say, the railroad boom transformed the world more than we can imagine. For the first time in human history, people could travel faster than a horse. People, cargo, everything unimaginable could be transported over rails. Investors threw vast sums of money into the companies, which laid tracks by hand over the entire country. Most companies went bust, but the few that succeeded dominated the economy and held monopoly control over entire regions. Now, the few that survive are ghosts. So he says, I really woke to the Y2K threat when I talked to a stepsister-in-law who has headed Y2K plans for a big Silicon Valley firm. She said I should have 6 months of food, fuel, cash, and secured the investments, right? So but then Y2K turned into a nothing burger. The NASDAQ hit an all-time high and then collapsed over 80%. Amazon fell over 90%. That was a time to invest after all the early birds had lost all of their shirts. He says his working hypothesis has been that this would all play out similar to a previous episode. So the smart money is don't chase hype, wait for the inevitable crash, and then invest in what's left standing. And I think that's really interesting because I think what's going to be left standing is some really interesting tech. And I think everybody right now should be investing in learning it. We're not going to be the guys who are the VCs out there chasing the silly stuff, right? That goes to this next point, right? I have one other commenter who said in 1995, everybody was saying, in 30 years, we will have unlimited fusion availability. Now in 2025, what are we seeing? We actually need to build more windmills, right? Like you see the silliness of that, right? Everybody thought 30 years ago we'd be seeing fusion. Every generation gets promised revolutionary technology that will solve everything and then settles for incremental improvements. We went from promising limitless clean energy to accepting that wind and solar are the practical solutions we actually got. The AI promises sound eerily familiar. They're going to transform everything, replace everybody, solve all the problems with artificial intelligence, right? But we've heard this before. And that's what all of my commenters are saying as well. Now, another commenter said, and he delivered the perfect analogy. He said, saying we're close to AGI, and this is a quote, saying we're close to AGI because we have invented chatbot would be similar to saying we're close to teleportation because we've invented planes. Now, let's cut straight through the marketing nonsense. That's the end of the quote. This cuts straight through the marketing nonsense and reveals the fundamental category error driving AI hype. Planes are an incredible technology, and they revolutionized travel, but they didn't give us Star Trek transporters, right? We just keep getting faster jets. ChatGPT is impressive technology for a text generation. But it's not thinking, it's not reasoning or understanding. It's sophisticated pattern matching. So smart businesses evaluate AI for what it is and what it can do today. Now, again, I'm not bashing on AI here. I just want people to have realistic understandings and expectations of what AI is going to accomplish for them. So this is another comment from an actual AI trainer. Let me find the full quote for you here. Give me 1 second while I pull up this whole quote. This commenter says, I mentioned this before, but I don't think I made my point succinctly enough. I was hired as an AI trainer after about a year of waiting on the task queue. They are to the point that we, the AI trainers, have to train the models in a very pedantic way in order to allow, quote, vibe coders to develop an HTML, CSS, JavaScript web page. We have to use certain specific terminology on the prompt, and then when the system inevitably produces a buggy output, we have to prompt it 3 more times, again in a very pedantic way. This lets me know that the corporations training AI are desperate to produce something that simply works due to the amount of hype they have churned out for the past year or so. Keep in mind, these are just vibe coding projects, never mind more advanced code snippet generation. What I'm saying is, I'm seeing how these systems are hitting the wall in real time, not to mention the absolute administrative disarray within the organization itself. That's another story in and of itself, end quote. Now, that's somebody who's actually out there training AI systems, right? So he's talking about the craziness they have around this. And that's what I'm seeing. So as I dug into, and I did a video last week, where we are seeing AI, or would see the difference in the system prompts between Claude 3.7, or Claude 3.5 and 4.0, right? A lot of it was in the system prompts, and we saw some really interesting stuff in the training of that. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected, reach out to us, because here at Startup Hack, we love to help companies work like a well-oiled machine. We can help get your systems connected. So reach out to us at startuphack.com/Spencer, because we'd love to help. All right. The next one, a viewer asked the most important question, quote, why is it that only the CEOs standing to benefit from AI hype are the ones hyping AI? So let's think about this for a minute. Mark Zuckerberg talked about not needing developers, while Meta has spent $39 billion on AI research. That's a real figure, by the way. That actually came out. Salesforce CEO claims they won't hire more developers, but simultaneously offshoring development jobs, according to a public filing. These aren't neutral observations giving objective technology assessments. They're people who need to justify the massive bets they've made to shareholders. When someone has a $39 trillion bet riding on AI, what do you think they're going to say when they're publicly asked about the future of where AI is going to go? Why is it that we don't see the people who are getting replaced by AI? There's all this mythical people who are supposedly getting replaced by AI. Where are they? Sure, there are some developers who are getting laid off. It's not for AI, right? This one I thought was really interesting as well, because I thought this was another real world scenario where I would expect to hear something from somebody who would know about this, right? So this is an industry I would expect to get hit by it. This person says, yeah, I'm not surprised. I can tell you that our company, a multi-billion-dollar game company, so this is an inside information. You guys are getting it first, inside information, does research into applying AI in the gaming industry. We invest a ton of money into investigating it. We have not seen any real movement into the actual production pipelines on the floor. There's a lot of people looking at it, but you won't find any AI agents being used anywhere. And that made me stop and think, I really haven't seen AI be built into the games yet, right? Why? AI gaming industry is a huge industry, right? I don't know how some clients have asked us, or I do know some clients have asked us to use generative AI to produce some assets, which is hilarious. It makes me wonder why they didn't do it themselves. But so far, its impact has been very, very minimal for us. This is all direct quotes, by the way, with 1 or 2 non-game related layoffs in graphics design and some impact on localization, i.e. the guys who translate text. And I can't see that changing between now and 2027, simply because game production cycles are so long. Any game starting today will probably finish without significant AI impact, just simply because of the risk of changing pipelines mid-projects, which means 5 years from now. So that means so that's the end of that quote. A huge industry, the gaming industry, is not seeing an impact from AI yet. That's really an interesting one, right? Very, very big one, because that would be really interesting to see how that would go long term, right? Another commenter says the economic knowledge, with economic knowledge delivers this killer insight. He says anyone with a vague idea of economics knows that these current systems are nowhere near close to being actually profitable. And the second OpenAI jacks its prices up by 10 times to do a human's job worse, people aren't going to accept that. He goes on to say, OpenAI, the market leader, is a ticking time bomb. It needs to start making money now, and it just isn't, right? Even that plan, it to become for profit, is failing. It's too big to fail is also only relevant if you're a bank. He continues on. These multi-billion-dollar data centers that are being trusted with untested companies, even Microsoft pulled away from, and an insane AI investment for no profit and visibly damaged energy hogging are not going to go down well. The entire industry is literally rotten to the core, which seems to keep doing this. Remember, quantum and the blockchain with a bunch of hype mongering nutcases connecting a lot of people. The worst part is that people literally pointed out that this is going to happen. So let's kind of look back at Crypto 3 a little bit. That's the end of his quote, by the way. Let's go back and look at Crypto 3 a little bit. So AI is here because crypto, or Web 3.0, hit, and there was this mass money grab to try to figure out how to print Bitcoin out of thin air. So, there was all this mad dash for how can we get cheap electricity to do this. And a lot of the invention and the innovation that NVIDIA saw was funded by this hype. That's how we have AI today, is because NVIDIA powered the backing of that. And then when all of that went to crap, we have that. Now, we are seeing the same thing today, right? So we saw how well that went when the legs got cut out from it. We're seeing the same thing there, right? Now, I want to read you another one here. He says, Vietnam era veteran soldier here. Soldier sailor traveled extensively through Africa. When I heard I was accepted to UC Berkeley, was a professional student. And he goes on to talk about some other thing. He says, this is the one was talking about the Y2K, but he ends this by saying, every age has its booms and busts, and it's valuable to see the vulnerabilities of the persistent boom and doom hysteria. This time may not be different, right? So there's a lot of different comments that I'm getting here that are really, really interesting, right? And there's also another one here. Museum professional identified the fundamental scalability problem. He says the hallucinations issue means that any AI or LLM will require a lot of human supervision. As complexity increases logarithmically, so too should the problem of human supervision. At some point, human supervision becomes unfeasible and full adoption becomes Russian roulette. He goes on to say that this creates a paradox. The more complex the AI application, the more human oversight it needs, defeating the purpose of automation. That makes sense, right? So if you need humans to build the code and the code continues to get more complex, it's going to need more humans and smarter humans to do that complexity. So AI was supposed to reduce human labor costs, but in practice, it often requires specialized oversight that might cost more than the original work. Again, I'm not saying that we don't use AI or LLMs. I love them. I'm doing a lot with them. I do a lot with them every day. But with LLMs, we have to check and see what the human oversight cost is, right? This poster goes on to say, I see it as a valuable tool for business applications like when I computerized and ran an accounting for a largest corporation in San Francisco Bay. It made dramatic productivity improvements, but the promise of a paperless office was nonsense. Paper usage skyrocketed, end quote. Now, again, I'm just reading these from my commenters here. So if you're hating on me, feel free to pipe into the comments because that's what this is all about, right? I love to get that feedback, and that's where I'm getting the value of these videos here, right? The same museum expert went on to say, later I worked in the museum world. I realized that computerization of collections is a huge step down from paper systems. Simply put, in business applications, the value of information decays rapidly over time. By the time one upgrades software, legacy data has no value. He went on to say that at the Smithsonian, my museum had invested massive labor to input 400,000 items in our collections out of 13 million. So when we went to a newer, better cataloging system, all the data became unusable. He said, in contrast, acid-free paper can exist for centuries and all intent and purpose may be eternal. Now, I am a big fan of digital, but he comes up with some interesting points because what's going to happen when we continue to move away from some of these systems and we need different migrations, right? So another viewer explained that the whole too big to fail only applies to banks, not technology companies with massive infrastructures. He says these multi-billion-dollar data centers trusted with untested companies are not going to go down well, and when reality hits, profitability requirements. So it's one of the points here. Have we seen any AI systems that have been profitable yet? Is there an AI company that's actually producing profitability? That's the big question that I have for you guys. Would love to have you prove me wrong down in the comments down below. But the point is, the people who are building big AI company systems that are worth something are stuff that are worth their stock value or a VC investment. So far yet, none of them are profitable. Go look at Microsoft's. This is what Satya Nadella was talking about when he said, look, I got to see the GDP move. And this is why they're niching down into agents and away from AGI. This is where Meta has spent $39 billion on building AI systems. This is why I just feel like we really are starting to see the cracks in the bubble. We're starting to see the bubble deflate, because this is where the gaps between existing external marketing messages and the internal operations in reality is enormous, and it's growing wider. Organizations can't manage the complexity of AI development while simultaneously promising it will simplify everything for customers. So when the Anthropic CEO comes out and says, we're going to replace 50% of white collar jobs in I think he says 3 years. The first thing I would say is, show me where you're replacing 5% in the next year. Then we can start to talk. And that's more of what I'm talking about. I get people on here all the time who are like, you don't understand, it's going to come, da-da-da. I want to see the incrementals. It's not going to happen all at once. This is absolutely not going to happen all at once. Just the same way that your company won't get connected all at once. It takes effort. It takes some work. So if you need help with that, reach out to us here at Startup Hack/Spencer, because we'd love to help you out. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I love to have a great, healthy conversation. I answer all the comments myself. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers as well as build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out, because we'd love to help. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer, and here's some great information.
Hi, my name is Spencer Thomason, and I'm a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. So what is a fractional CTO? This is where you can contract someone like myself to come into your organization and get the benefits of a seasoned CTO without having to employ me full time. In today's fast-paced world, efficiency, security, and product scaling aren't just goals, they're necessities. My passion is building impactful products and enhancing organizational efficiencies through technology. From startups to small businesses, my approach leverages lean methodologies to not just meet but exceed your strategic goals. Whether it's through executive mentoring, cloud system architecture, or launching a minimum viable product swiftly, my aim is to make a significant impact right from the start. Recognized in the Arizona startup ecosystem, my journey has been about creating value and fostering innovation. I have led technology for companies like GoDaddy, SRP, and Wells Fargo, and turned challenges into milestones. I've taken this learning and launched 7 of my own brands, and now I want to help you. So if you're looking for a fractional CTO who brings a wealth of experience, strategic vision, and a proven track record, let's connect. Together we can build technology that not only drives your business forward, but also makes a difference. Technology leadership redefined to fit your needs. So reach out today.